Welcome to this week's edition of The Blitz. We have a great show ahead of us as we will be looking back at our 24-21 victory over Maryland with cornerback Taylor Mack. And we will have tight end John Delahunt on to take a look at our upcoming battle against the Western Michigan Broncos. And this week on Coach's Corner, we will have Coach Pasqualoni here to answer questions from you, the fans, and we'll have linebackers coach John Hooley on as well. So thanks for tuning in. And now, The Blitz. All right, fans, it's time for this week's edition of Coach's Corner, here with Coach Pasqualoni. Thanks for being here today.
Well, it's nice to be here.
All right, after such an exciting win over Maryland last week, can you talk about just how exhilarating that was and how much fight you saw in our guys?
Well, you know, anytime you go on the road in Division I football and you play a quality opponent in a quality conference like the ACC and you're able to go in there, play as complimentary a game as we played, meaning offense, defense, and special teams all really contributed, and coming out of there with a win is really a great tribute to the effort that the players put in. It's a lot of fun.
One of the most exciting games we've been a part of in a while. All right, it's time to take a look at some questions from the fans. You ready to go?
Ready to go.
All right, let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Matt from Glastonbury. I really wanted to be at the Maryland game the other day, so I was wondering what you thought of the fan support, Coach Pasqualoni.
The fan support at Maryland I thought was outstanding. One whole section of the bleachers on our side, the visitor side, was all blue, and you could hear them all game long. So, you know, it was just great that the Husky fans got on the road and traveled so well. It's such a big part of the program and such a big help. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, unbelievable fan support. You could hear them louder than Maryland fans at some time. All right, let's take a look at the next question.
Hi, I'm Case McDonald. I'm from Litchfield. My question for you is, what makes Nick Williams so elusive and hard to bring down?
Well, Nick is such a good athlete, you know, and he has got such good stop-and-go ability. He's so explosive that he can stop and start and then be at full speed very, very quickly and can change direction going full speed. So it makes it very, very hard for one person to make that tackle.
All right, now let's take a look at the next question.
Hi, I'm Amanda from Milford, Connecticut, and I was wondering if you have a game day ritual.
Amanda, my game day ritual is to get up and early and drink a cup of coffee and then go back over all my notes and get ready to play the game. So if I have a ritual, it's drinking coffee early in the morning.
And then getting a W.
That's right, and going to the stadium and playing ball. All
right, great. Well, thanks so much for being here with us this week. I know we're all excited to see what you guys can do in Kalamazoo.
Thank you.
All right, Husky fans, make sure you're on the lookout for the Huskies All-Access crew throughout the season to get your questions submitted and answered by Coach Pasqualoni here on Coach's Corner. Now on Coach's Corner, we have linebackers coach and former Husky running back John Hooley. Thanks for being here today, John.
Thank you for having me.
All right, looking back at this win over Maryland, just how big of a victory was it over an ACC school for morale and just in the general scope of the season?
Well, it's definitely important. You know, Coach Pasqualoni has talked about since preseason his collecting wins early last year. We failed to do that in our non-conference schedule before we head into Big East play. Obviously, I feel like we let one slip away in week 2, so it was good to win a close game and develop a mentality that we can win at the end. I think that's the biggest thing that it develops. You know, within college football, I always tell my players, there's a few elite teams and a few teams that probably have less talent. There's about 100 teams that are right in the middle, and who does little things well at the end decide the difference between being 5-7, 7-5, 9-3, 3-9. You know, it's been the difference. You know, in the past 2 weeks we've played, 6 points has decided 2 games. So developing that mentality, I think, is the biggest thing.
And one of the biggest parts about getting us through that fourth quarter was the fan support that we had. I know after the game you talked about how amazing it was, the number of people that traveled down to College Park. How much of an influence did the fans have on that game?
I think they had an unbelievable impact. I mean, I really do. I think the support, and it was the truest fans. It was diehard Husky fans, it was former players, and it was a lot of relatives, obviously, of players and coaches being there. And they had a lot of passion for, you know, what we were doing, and the impact they made was incredible. I think it inspired our players to drive through. I knowCio said something like that after the game, that he could feel or hear the "Let's Go Husky" chant, you know, in the last couple plays of the game, and obviously that helps you.
All right, now let's take a look at your crew, the linebackers, one of the most exciting positions to watch this year. 7 sacks against Maryland. Looking at Yalwin, he has 35 tackles on the season, 4 sacks. You know, Sio's got 17 tackles and 3.5 sacks. What is it about this group that makes them so dynamic and explosive?
Well, one, they have talent. They're all, you know, very athletic and gifted people. And players. But I think the biggest thing is experience. Last year we went into it really with only one guy that really had full-time starting duty, and now this year we have all 3 starting guys back and then 3 guys that are behind them that have all played in Division I games or prepared all last year with Marquise Van, Jefferson Ashuru, and Ryan Donahue. All have had experience preparing for big-time games. I think that's the biggest thing, is once you've gone through something, you learn little things, and that breeds confidence, and that's, I think, the biggest factor.
How much fun do you have coaching these guys? It seems like you guys have a great relationship.
I really enjoy them. They're all hard workers. You know, they each have their own individual personality. You know, Cio is probably the most energetic out of all of them. Yowan plays extremely hard every single play, and Jory's kind of like the common force of all of them, and kind of gets them lined up and really is the cerebral leader of the group. You know, so it's a blast coaching them. They work hard, they listen, and they want to get better and want to help us win. And the thing that I like about them, I think last week they showed by their actions and their plays that they'll fight to the end, and they have an extreme toughness. And Coach Pasqualoni always talks about, you know, toughness is the ability to play up to your highest potential at a consistent level, and I think they showed that last week, and they need to continue to show it every week from now on.
Now, a couple weeks ago, we talked to Coach Brown about one of his favorite phrases, being a dude. We always hear from you about moxie. Yeah. Can you explain what that is, how you try to get it out of your players each and every day?
It started off like when I was playing here as a joke. We used to just hear coaches say words that would try to inspire us, and I looked up in the dictionary the word moxie, and it kind of has stuck for 10 years now. And it's the ability to overcome difficult situations with passion and courage. And I think that fits into the football and what you need to do, because difficult situations are going to present yourself, obviously, in football and in life on a consistent basis. And that's something that it starts off as a slang word, but it really, I think, produces an attitude and a mentality for our position group and hopefully our team each day.
All right, and looking ahead to Western Michigan, what did you see out of your guys this week, and what do you think are the keys in order to shut down Western Michigan next week?
Well, we go into every single game making sure that we try to stop the run. You know, Coach Hughes says it a lot of times. He's been in a lot of games where he's gave up 400 yards passing and won. He's never been in a game where he's let up 300 or 400 yards rushing and won. So that's number one. This team's obviously a great throwing team. They threw the ball for a boatload of yards against us last year. We need to control the wide receivers, reroute them, play physical, and get after the quarterback. This guy is probably the best quarterback that we've played thus far. He's extremely tough. Last year, I know we hit him a bunch of times, and he kept standing up in the pocket and making plays. So we got to do something through the course of the week in our preparation to contain him. But he's obviously a great player, and they're a great offense, probably the most multiple offense that we've played so far this year.
All right, well, I know our fans are really excited to see some moxie out of your players this weekend. Thanks so much for being here, John.
Thank you very much.
All right, Husky fans, now let's take a look to highlights from our victory over Maryland.
You work it out. Gotta gain your cash and it's going all on the ball. Work it out. And it's going fast cause I feel like a superstar. Work it out. And you may not have it, the might have just broke the law. Work it out. It's your time to grab it and make this whole thing yours. Work it out. Hey, said our hustle's working never through. We making it cause we making moves. The only thing we know how to do. So it's the only thing we know looking plush. Ladies can't get enough. Got my fitness on looking buff. And all my people with my trust. Holding down for my city. They asking you am I guilty. Only thing that I'm guilty of is making you rock with me. Work it out.
Joining us now is junior cornerback Taylor Mack, who had 4 tackles and 2 breakups in our win over Maryland. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, taking a look back at that win over Maryland, it's one of the most exciting games that we've seen from you guys in a while. Can you talk about what it was that made it such a great game for you guys?
I guess because it's a real emotional game, and we're playing our old head coach, and so a lot of people were excited to go in, and they wanted to play well. You know, we had a lot of people that were coming to the game that they knew from family, friends, alumni. So you know, you want to play well, and you know, you want to get a W versus your old head coach. So it's just a emotionally driven game.
All right, and we saw you come in and take a big role when senior captain Bleedy Ray Wilson got injured. You came in, and a lot of the action came to your side of the field, held your own, did a great job out there. How did it feel for you to be able to step into a role like that and come up big for your team?
It made me feel pretty good. You know, it showed that I can come out, you know, and make plays for the team and do what I need to do. And, you know, so if Bleedy goes down again, you know, they can call my number and, you know, have confidence and trust me when I'm out there.
All right, now let's break down the game a little bit, starting with Dwayne's pick on Maryland's very first play of the game, and following that up with Nick Williams' 58-yard return for a touchdown. Can you talk about how big those plays were to start off the game?
Huge. You know, they had Macho pick off the first play, his first pass of the game. And so we turn right back around, throw the offense back out there, and we can rest up a little bit. And then Nicky Wills takes the punt return back. And so it's just momentum for us that we needed, you know, through the whole first half, and we came out and carried it back into the second half. So it was momentum that we needed, and it kept everybody you know, up and, you know, jazzed up and excited. So the energy was never flat through the game.
The energy certainly was high. It seemed like every time we got a nice lead, Maryland would come back and respond. How big then was Lyle's touchdown and the ensuing stop on defense to keep Maryland out of field goal range?
Well, with Lyle scoring, you know, it showed that the game was going to be on us and that we needed to come up and make a big stop. And so he just gave us, you know, a little extra leeway. And so that put us ahead by, I think, like 10 by at that point. Then they came back and had that score. And then that final drive where they started, I think, on like the 40, and we had to, you know, come up with a big play, or, you know, a couple big plays to make sure that they didn't get in field goal range to keep it from OT. So we knew the game was going to come down and be on us, and having Lyle score just kind of gave us, you know, some extra reassurance, really.
Now, as someone who came in for an injured teammate this week, we have to talk about former UConn cornerback and current Atlanta Falcon Reggie McClain, who came in last night, had a pick against Peyton Manning. Seeing plays like that, seeing the kind of breed that we get out of UConn cornerbacks, what was that like for you to watch that?
I was going nuts. I was screaming in my room, going crazy for Reg. First off, because Reg is playing for my team, you know, for the Atlanta Falcons, so I needed Atlanta to win anyways. But seeing Reggie out there after Asante Samuel went down and just stepping in and going like nothing, and not missing a beat, like nothing happened. It was exciting, and I was going nuts. Me and Scotty in the room, and then you know, I'm proud of him. I hit him up, I think, on Twitter, you know, saying congratulations on the play. But it's big to see UConn doing big things in the NFL. Yeah,
certainly gives us a lot of hope for our current players, seeing how well they do.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining us here today, Taylor. We're really excited to see what you have in store for us for the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me.
All right, now let's take a look ahead to our next opponent, the Western Michigan Broncos.
And here we go, Gray again. This time the first and second level. Take the reverse. Marquise Gray taking ball care, taking defenders with him, and then the ball pops loose. It's up for grabs.
Lyman pulling over from the backside, and you just want to follow those guys right up to the...
Alex Carter and company now down 11. Chance gets Carter back for it. Nicely done. 1 at the 49. Not get a generous spot of the ball. Carter once again. Hammond. Quarterback draw. Carter to the end zone. Carter is a man to the end zone.
Now let's welcome to the show redshirt senior tight end John Delahunt, who had 3 receptions for 43 yards in our win against Maryland. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Emily.
All right, next up we have the Western Michigan Broncos, who are 1-2, coming off a loss to Minnesota. What did you guys learn about yourself in our game this weekend that you can really hone in on as you take on the Broncos?
I think offensively being able to stay on the field during third down was big for us to get the win, and then something we weren't able to do against NC State. So just being able to be productive on offense should help us get the victory.
And the Broncos gave up 4 passing touchdowns to Minnesota last week. How do you feel like our receivers will be able to match up against their secondary?
I think our receivers are waiting to have a big day. We've been running the ball a lot, focusing on getting our run game going, so they're just patiently waiting to have a big day, and hopefully it'll happen in Kalamazoo.
All right, and offensively, they have the best quarterback in the MAC. They rushed for 165 yards last week, but with our 3rd-ranked defense in the country, how do you feel like our guys will be able to take them on?
Well, like you said, we have the 3rd-ranked defense in the country, so I'm confident in them against any team that we play. Going against them every day in practice, I see how hard they work and how tough they are, so I'm very confident in our defense.
All right, and you guys just had so much energy and so much excitement in our win over Maryland. What's the mentality been like in practice since then, and how do you see that propelling us forward?
Well, Coach Pasqualoni always talks about, being able to enjoy the victory for a day, and then it's time to get down to business again. So, it was a big emotional win for us, but we got a good team in Western Michigan, and we're just going to have to focus on that.
Well, I know all of Husky Nation is really excited to see you guys go for win number 3. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Emily.
All right, next up, the Huskies will travel to Kalamazoo to take on the Western Michigan Broncos. The game is at 2 o'clock. You can catch it on ESPN3 or listen to WTIC News Talk 1080. Thanks for tuning in to The Blitz. I'm Emily Noonan for Huskies All Access. We'll see you out there.